Indigo is a color that sings, a deep, rich blue, both mysterious and alluring, with a depth that seems to draw you in. It's a shade that has inspired poets, artists, and dreamers for centuries, evoking the feeling of infinity and the unknown. It is the color of the midnight sky before dawn, a blue so profound it almost feels otherworldly, like the last secret of the night before the world awakens. For millennia, this remarkable dye has captivated humanity, enchanting civilizations across continents and eras with its rare and vibrant hue. Indigo was found in the wrappings of Egyptian mummies, preserving royalty for eternity, and in the robes of Roman emperors, signifying status and power. Its presence in ancient artifacts tells a story of prestige and reverence. In many cultures, indigo was reserved for royalty and priests, a symbol of power, wisdom, and a divine connection. To wear indigo was to be set apart, to be touched by something sacred and rare. It was so valuable, it was called blue gold. Merchants and traders risked fortunes to obtain it, and entire economies were shaped by its trade. The source of this treasure? Not a precious gem, but the humble Indigofera tinctoria plant, growing quietly in fields, its leaves holding the secret to this magical blue. Through a complex and laborious process, the plant's leaves are harvested, soaked and fermented, eventually yielding a vibrant blue pigment that would change the world. India, with its perfect climate and skilled farmers, became the world's primary source of indigo. From here, bales of blue gold were shipped to eager markets across the globe, fueling a booming trade. As Europe's textile industries flourished, so did the hunger for indigo. It colored uniforms, workwear, and the latest fashions, becoming a symbol of both utility and luxury. This insatiable demand transformed indigo into a global commodity, drawing the attention of powerful trading nations and colonial empires, all vying for control of the blue dye trade. But beneath the surface, the beauty of indigo concealed a darker story, one of hardship, exploitation, and suffering. The plant that produced such a coveted color would soon bring sorrow to those forced to grow it. Farmers and laborers, often under colonial rule, faced harsh conditions and little reward. The deep blue of indigo became, for a time, the color of oppression, a symbol of the pain and injustice endured by those at the bottom of the trade. Its journey is not just one of trade and beauty, but of struggle, resistance, and survival. The story of indigo is a reminder of both human creativity and the cost of desire. Woven into the very fabric of human history, indigo's legacy is as complex and layered as the color itself, a story of kings and commoners, of glory and grief, forever tinted blue. By the late 18th century, the British Empire's textile mills demanded vast amounts of indigo dye. After losing their American colonies and facing unrest in the Caribbean, the British turned to India. India's fertile lands and skilled artisans made it the perfect new source. The British offered loans to Indian farmers, pushing them to switch from food crops to indigo. But this was not partnership, it was control. British planters established large plantations, focused solely on profit, ignoring the needs of local communities. Forests were cleared, and land was seized for indigo fields. The promise of wealth blinded the British to the human cost. For Indian farmers, the arrival of the British indigo planters marked the beginning of a dark chapter. To guarantee indigo supply, the British imposed the Tinkathia system, forcing farmers to grow indigo on the best parts of their land. This was not voluntary, it was enforced through coercion and threats. Farmers, or ryots, were trapped in debt, paid far below market value for their crops. High-interest loans kept them in a cycle of poverty, unable to escape. Land used for indigo meant less food, leading to shortages and famine. The indigo plant exhausted the soil, leaving it barren. Refusal to comply brought brutal punishment, beatings, burned homes, and imprisonment. The Tinkathia system stripped farmers of dignity and survival. The blue dye admired in Europe was produced through the suffering of Indian peasants. This was not just agriculture, it was organized exploitation. The stage was set for rebellion. By 1859, Bengal's indigo farmers had reached their breaking point. Years of relentless exploitation had left them impoverished and desperate, forced to grow indigo instead of food crops, and trapped in a cycle of debt by British planters. Led by courageous figures like Digambar and Bishnu Charan Biswas, the farmers decided enough was enough. They refused to plant indigo, sparking the Neel Bidroha, the Indigo Revolt, a movement that would soon sweep across rural Bengal. Armed with nothing but farm tools and their determination, villagers attacked indigo factories, destroyed oppressive debt records, and fought back fiercely against the planters' private armies. Their resistance was both bold and unprecedented. Women, too, played a vital role. They defended their homes and families with whatever they could find: sticks, stones, or even kitchen utensils, showing remarkable courage in the face of violence. The revolt was not just fought with weapons, it was also a social movement. Villagers boycotted British planters, refused to work on their estates, and isolated them from local support, making it impossible for the planters to continue their exploitation. Support poured in from Calcutta's educated class. Journalists, lawyers, and reformers exposed the brutality of the indigo planters in newspapers and pamphlets, rallying public opinion and bringing national attention to the farmers' plight. The sheer scale and intensity of the revolt shocked the British administration, who had never before witnessed such organized resistance from rural peasants. The Indigo Revolt quickly grew into one of India's largest and most successful peasant movements, inspiring similar uprisings in other regions and setting a powerful example for future generations. The colonial government, still reeling from the trauma of the 1857 rebellion just 2 years earlier, was forced to intervene and investigate the planters' abuses. The Blue Mutiny, as it came to be known, proved the immense power of collective resistance, showing that unity among the oppressed could shape the strongest colonial foundations. The revolt was a testament to the strength and resilience of ordinary people. Even the most oppressed would rise up and demand justice for those who do. The days of the oppressive Indigo system were now clearly numbered, and the spirit of resistance of Bengal would echo for generations to come. In 1860, the British established the Indigo Commission to investigate the crisis. For the first time, the government officially acknowledged the farmers' suffering. Thousands of riots testified, detailing forced contracts, violence, and poverty. The evidence was overwhelming, a system of blood, as one magistrate called it. The commission condemned the planters' methods and declared that no farmer should be forced to grow indigo. Farmers were granted the freedom to choose their crops. The government accepted the recommendations, ending forced indigo cultivation in Bengal. Planters, facing legal restrictions and resistance, abandoned their factories. The Indigo Revolt had succeeded. Organized protest had brought real change. The lesson would echo through India's freedom struggle. After Bengal, the planters moved west to Champaran, Bihar, reviving the Tinkathia system. Here, farmers endured the same exploitation: forced indigo cultivation, crushing debt, and brutal punishments. Planters imposed illegal taxes on every aspect of life. By the early 1900s, synthetic indigo threatened the planters' profits. Instead of freeing the farmers, planters demanded huge payments to release them from contracts, a final act of extortion. The farmers of Champaran were trapped and desperate, their suffering largely unknown. But the spirit of resistance survived. Rajkumar Shukla, a determined farmer, sought help. He had heard of Mohandas Gandhi, a lawyer who had fought for Indian rights abroad. Shukla was determined to bring Gandhi to Champaran. The seeds of a new movement were about to be sown. Change was coming. Rajkumar Shukla's unwavering determination finally convinced Gandhi to visit Champaran in 1917, a journey that would become a turning point in India's struggle for justice. Shukla, a humble farmer, had travelled far and wide to seek Gandhi's help, refusing to give up until the Mahatma agreed to see the suffering firsthand. Gandhi arrived not as a politician, but as a quiet investigator, determined to listen to the voices of the oppressed. He spent days moving from village to village, sitting with farmers, hearing their stories of hardship and exploitation under the British planters. His presence unsettled the British authorities, who saw his growing influence as a threat. Alarmed by the attention Gandhi was drawing, they quickly ordered him to leave Champaran, hoping to silence the movement before it could grow. But Gandhi stood his ground, calmly refusing to comply with their orders. He chose the path of civil disobedience, making it clear that he would not abandon the farmers in their hour of need. News of Gandhi's defiance spread like wildfire. Inspired by his courage, thousands of farmers and villagers gathered in support, forming a united front against injustice. The movement began to swell, drawing attention from across the region. The British authorities, unprepared for such a massive and peaceful protest, found themselves unable to suppress the movement. Reluctantly, they withdrew the case against Gandhi, marking a significant victory for the people. This was a stunning victory for non-violent resistance, proving that peaceful protest could challenge even the might of the British Empire. The people of Champaran celebrated, their faith in justice renewed. Gandhi, now joined by dedicated lawyers like Dr. Rajendra Prasad, began a systematic investigation into the abuses faced by the farmers. Together they formed a team committed to uncovering the truth and seeking justice. They meticulously documented the horrors of the Tinkathia system, recording testimonies and gathering evidence of the exploitation that had plagued Champaran for decades. This was more than just a list of grievances. It was a powerful collection of irrefutable evidence, a testament to the suffering and resilience of the people. Gandhi was preparing his case not only for the courts, but for the court of public conscience, determined to awaken the nation to the plight of Champaran's farmers. The movement was gaining unstoppable momentum as more and more people joined the cause, united by hope and a shared demand for justice. In Champaran, the fight for justice had found a new leader and a new path forward for India's freedom struggle. Gandhi's team gathered overwhelming evidence of oppression in Champaran. The British, faced with undeniable proof and peaceful resistance, formed a commission of inquiry with Gandhi as a member. The commission condemned the Tinkathia system and recommended its abolition. Planters, desperate to save face, offered to refund only a portion of the money extorted from farmers. Gandhi accepted, focusing on the principle, not the amount. The Champaran Agrarian Act of 1918 ended the Tinkathia system. This was a watershed moment. Oppression ended not by violence, but by truth and peaceful protest. For the farmers, it was liberation after a century of suffering. For India, it was proof that Satyagraha could defeat injustice. Gandhi had shown the nation a new path to freedom. The legacy of Champaran would inspire generations. The story of indigo in India is a journey from beauty to bondage, and finally, to liberation. What began as a coveted color became a symbol of misery for millions. The Indigo Revolt and Champaran Satyagraha were turning points in India's awakening. Ordinary peasants, united in resistance, forced a colonial power to listen. Gandhi transformed sporadic uprisings into a mass movement of non-violent protest. The victory in Champaran proved that even the might of empire could be challenged peacefully. Today, the indigo fields are gone, but their legacy endures. The struggle over a simple plant ignited a revolution. It taught a nation that true freedom begins with the courage to say no to oppression. The color of kings became the color of freedom.